Hi all, John Kinsella here. I'm dialing in, I guess, is what you say. We were on actually dial-up out here until a few years ago. I mean, literally dial-up, and we're not on wireless connection or anything. We're in the bush and on a slow copper line, which I don't complain about. D-Tech rather than hyping the tech is where I come from. But anyway, those little issues aside, I'm here to support this wonderful journal. I have many copies of this going right back. Tears in the Fence. I often think of it as Tears in the Fence as well. I have all sorts of reasons for that. But I like the idea of tear and tear. And this is a magazine full of wordplay, full of investigation of language and its consequences, how it's deployed, how it's used, and so on. It always carries a poetry of ideas and encounter, of the textures of everything that surrounds us and the consequences of how we talk about those textures. It's such a rich journal, full of ideas, and it's also a very generous journal. Generous in its reviewing of innovative literature, innovative poetry in particular. It always has David Caddy, the editor's, David Caddy. That's a good one. David Caddy, the editor. David Caddy. Sorry, David. I mean that affectionately and respectfully. David always has his editor's notes, which I find exciting. Always read those closely. He has an eye and an ear for vital responses to consequence. And I think that's the key to the journal. It's not just a collation or a collection of pieces. It's about a conversation and a dialogue between writers who don't necessarily encounter each other. They encounter each other in the pages of Tears in the Fence. And there's an assemblage process going on in there. And I think David and other people, Ian Brinton and others who are involved in the journal over the years, have really allowed those assemblages to move out of the pages, move all the way down here or up here, depending on how you see the globe. Jamtree Gully, Wheatbelt, Western Australia. What I'm going to do, just by way of celebrating Tears in the Fence and a very long reading of it. I mean, I've been sort of following this journal for a very long time, and it helps not only expand the kind of consciousness about what's being written especially in innovative kind of ways in poetry in English, but in how it's talked about. Anyway, I'm going to read a poem in celebration of the journal, and it's from my graphology poems, a project. I chose this because I've been working on these since the mid-90s, and it seems to me that this is a magazine about longevity and encounter over a period of time, with many different spaces, and these poems are about that too. In a way, they're almost concurrent. So this is Graphology Heuristic 75. So I read this as a kind of bizarre celebration of both Tears in the Fence, David Caddy as editor, and generous thinker and writer, and all those around the journal and all the contributors. So Graphology Heuristic 75. Two birds I can't identify are sorting seeds on the rough earth outside the library where books are taking root, reclaiming. The two birds appear to be placing some seed aside, poking other seed underground with variegated beaks, then shifting on their planting. Sometimes they snack on excess. They are wearying with activity, rest, chirp, puff their feathers, reconnoitre. Then back to it. Separated seeds, those asides, are divided further into 4 piles. Tetractus? From my discreet vantage point, I can see there's a pile of wattle seed, another of wild oats, and others I can't identify. I pride myself on access to a broad set of classifications, and yet I fail to locate on so many levels. To me, it seems secrecy. The sun is low in the sky and slices the southern shadows. Down there is where the two birds are now transferring the seed, Lift, flitter, descend, return. Over. I would guess in the hollow of a great York gum, deep in where it's mostly dry. So thank you. I wish you all well, and let's get behind this journal. Please support it, subscribe, donate, send material, talk about it. It's a vital part of the poetry community and many different poetry communities too. Okay, bye.